everybody. How's it going? It's Josh Fusion Fantasy Football, and we're here week 12 next week tonight. This is the show that keeps you a week ahead of the competition. So, no, you're not in the future, but maybe you are because it's week 12, guys, but it's not. For you, maybe not. For me, it's week 12. I'm all about week 12. Week 11 games haven't happened. Thursday night football, okay, that did happen, and that was week 11, but the rest of it still hasn't happened. So, guys, we are going to dig into everything. So, first of all, this is going to be the last next week tonight of 2022 season. So, thank you so much for watching the show, everything else. Really appreciate all the support, all the views. Hope you guys were able to benefit. Hope you got a lot of fun stashes and players that ended up benefiting you. I was looking back through about Jeff Wilson, which is, when the recap, we'll get to him where he came up again. But at the very beginning of the season, before a single game of the season was played, right here we're talking about how, hey, why isn't Jeff Wilson being talked about more as a handcuff? And it's just fun things like that. Just one player, one example. And of course, lots of fun Twitter debates along the way that I can go back now and point at. But oh well, hey, it's a lot of fun. We try to have fun. Remember, guys, it's fantasy football. You're allowed to have fun. Victory lap when you can, because things go so wrong so often in ways we never could have expected. So just wanted to say that. And of course, I don't have everything like I'm supposed to have up here. So thank you again, and I will see you next year. No, you'll probably see me in a show or something, but it won't be a next week tonight. All right. So that's all I mean by that. So guys, yeah, that was supposed to be up here. Thanks for watching. Big things that I hope are still going to come for this show. So keep an eye out. Keep following me at FusionFFB on Twitter. And just keep an eye out for any news. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not trying to be all cryptic or something. I really don't know, but I do want something to happen with the show. And I think 3 years now, we have a lot of proven process. We have a lot of proven results. And I think hopefully the show, I think it's ready for some more viewers, because you guys just don't share it because you like keeping it to yourselves. I get it, but more people need to see it. So, all right, guys, week 12, let's go into it. We're not gonna do the quick run through, and I'll be honest, this week it's all about streaming options. Luckily, there's no real bye weeks in week 12 because of the Thanksgiving and everything. But that said, there's still going to be some need for players. A lot of injuries going on right now in the league. I did want to note here, though, the Thanksgiving schedule. Be aware, a lot of more Thursday games. Bills and Lions, Giants at Cowboys, Patriots at Vikings. So be aware who you need to have in your lineups. Preferably not in flexes. If you're going to play them, you might as well play them in the positional spot, right? All those good basics. All right, so we're just gonna dive into streamers, guys. Davis Mills, he's doing the job. He's doing well. And in a game against Miami in week 12, Miami keeps on. That offense is really pressuring the opposing offenses to keep up, to try. And that defense, the Miami defense, they're not bad. They really aren't bad. They're actually a pretty decent defense. But because teams are being pushed to push the ball, that means that they're giving up some more points and they're showing up lower in the ranks. So, unfortunately, that does mean you're always going to have the potential for Miami defense to really step up and shut down an opponent. They do have the talent to do that, but in this case, I think there's enough matchup things here to tell me that the Houston Texans are going to be able to put up some yards and maybe even some points. He's got Cooks back from, I don't know, whatever that non-trade tantrum was, and Nico Collins is back healthy and now even pushing Cooks for the top. Well, we'll talk about that later. But he's got his guys back. So next, for a streaming quarterback, you have Taylor Heineke, and it's weird to say he's even a streamer at this point because, I mean, in one quarterback he still is. His ownership isn't high enough, and I've seen him even in active leagues. He's still out there. I mean, because it's one quarterback, guys. Come on, but he's definitely the streamer. I mean, the starter. First of all, in week 11, but I think he'll continue to be by week 12, and it's a good matchup against the Falcons, Atlanta Falcons. So he's also really pushing the ball, I think, better than Wentz. I mean, it's hard to say. Wentz was throwing the ball downfield, but I think Heineke is actually better at utilizing McLaurin, first of all. Maybe that's not as good for Curtis Samuel as it was at the beginning of the season. So there's a little give and take there, but he is putting up points himself. He has a little bit more on the ground potential than we've seen from some of the other Washington quarterbacks. I guess that's not fair. Wentz sometimes would get stuff on the ground, but again, it was so hit or miss with Wentz. Week 12 running backs. First of all, Latavius Murray getting a little bit forgotten about after, a Denver bye week, and he's in a committee and all of this stuff going on. But Mike Boone a while ago on IR. I guess he could be coming back maybe next week, which week 13. I say next week. It's next week for everybody else. But it's a committee there, but Murray's a big part of it. So he's worth a shot as a running back that you can pick up that's going to get a good amount of volume. Other times the next guy on the list here, but a lot of times we're shooting for kind of receiving back or somebody who has upside if there's injury and so on. Whereas Murray, it's like, he's going to get some work and he has a shot as a touchdown. Basically, that's it. Okay. So decent floor. A lot of these other kind of streaming running backs, we don't even know if they're going to get the work at this point. I could bring up streamers that are on everybody's benches and just highlight them as guys that you should have confidence in starting. I mean, that is a definition of a streamer, but I prefer to be talking about guys that you have a chance at least of picking up. Okay. And Justin Jackson would be one of those with Craig Reynolds to IR. And if Swift is still limited, Justin Jackson is kind of that next guy up, best alternative in that Swift, closest thing to a Swift role that they have. I know Swift in week 10 came in, limited work, still got a touchdown. I don't know if that's going to happen again. It's hard to say. With that kind of usage that he's getting, it's really hard to rely on it. Week 12, told you we talked about Nico Collins. Week 12 wide receivers. Nico Collins, Houston against Miami. So you got the Mills stack. If you want it, you could go pick up both of them. And he's challenging Cooks for the lead target there. I think he out-targeted him in week 10, something like 11 targets. So he's out there. He's getting work. He got some touchdowns. He might have been picked up then. But I wanted to make sure he was here because he should be rostered. But check, because it's not a very popular name. Yeah. Next is a guy I think you will be able to pick up, Devontae Parker. Patriots playing the Vikings on Thursday night. But so you definitely have to go out and get him if you can earlier. He's been a little quiet. That's kind of been the Patriots between, bye week and week 10 and some bad games mixed in there. But thinking back to his, I think it was week 5 against the Baltimore Ravens, saw 10 targets, 5 reception, 156 yards, like bunch of big plays. Because why? Because Ravens were putting up points and putting up yards, and that was probably Mac Jones, one of his highest, total amount of pass attempts of his career. Um, I could see a similar kind of situation where the Vikings are moving the ball and Mac Jones has to keep up. And if he has to keep up and he has to throw and take shots, it's going to be Parker. He's actually stepped up and done pretty well in that. So he is your highest kind of upside play there in a game script that's going to likely push the Patriots to try and use him in that way. All right, so the tight ends, Foster Moreau, we already talked about him last week. You should have already had him, but just in case he's still out there and you need a tight end to play, he has a great matchup against Seattle in week 12. Solid floor with the work he's getting, the snaps, the targets, and then in week 10, he added the touchdown. And that means you're a good starter. So he's going to have the same opportunity again against Seattle. And then Isaiah Likely, Baltimore's playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. And first of all, the Jags are really not good against tight ends. Also, that means really bad. So it's a great matchup for him. And I think even if Andrews is healthy, which it's looking like he's going to be there at least by week 12, even if he's healthy, they still need receivers in general. And Isaiah Likely, he looks like a wide receiver when he's out there anyway. But yeah, they're going to need overall just receiving help. And so I do like Likely in this position. It's probably just going to be a massive Andrews game. But if Likely can just get a few of those crumbs, those scraps, he can also have a good game. All right, so for week 12, defensives, DSTs, Carolina Panthers is my favorite one. This one's really out there because if you look at it, you don't think the Panthers are a good defense. And they've had some really bad weeks. They've had some really high scoring weeks as far as fantasy defense and special teams. We know in the NFL they've given up a lot of points on some games, but even though that kind of makes them a high risk reward kind of play, it's not really much of a risk against the Broncos, who are, I believe, league bottom in scoring. So, you know what? I think it's a pretty good floor and a pretty high upside as well. So I really like the Panthers week 12. And a really safe option is the Indianapolis Colts playing Steelers, with Najee struggling, just that whole team struggling, and rookie Pickett. You have an opportunity always to shut down, get turnovers. I don't think it's not going to be a negative, basically. Might not be great, might be 6-8 points for a DST, but it's something. So if you just need someone, and for some reason the Panthers are owned, then I'd look at the Colts. All right, guys, that's it. We're going for a short one this week. Unfortunately, I didn't have a ton of time to dig into more than this, but really at this point, like we talked about, we've dug into so many things already, and so it's a little difficult to somehow try to be expected to find some diamond in the rough in week 12. Like, guys, come on. Everybody's dug this ground over 10 times already. Okay. But in case you still need something for week 11, you should have caught the show last week and done some of the things, but just in case, this is a prime example. Let's leave a recap. Let's week 11 recap. Prime example, Foster Moreau, guys. I love hearing and watching the shows on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, talking about players for pickups, and oh, this guy's going to be a hot waiver guy. And it's just who we were talking about last week. I love it every week, guys. That's why I have some fun. This show is just a glorified, way for me to basically brag about being smarter and having the picks first. I mean, really, that's it. I got tired of everyone else saying, when I had a good call, saying, oh, yeah, well, we all saw that coming. Let's say, yeah, well, did you see it the week before? Right? Let's be honest. That's what this show is. But it also comes with actual results as far as profits in those players if you can get them before everybody else. Terrace Marshall was the other one. He only had one like 43-yard catch in that Thursday night game last week. But like I said, it was a good matchup that week 10, and he's got a really strong playoffs, fantasy football playoffs. So keep an eye on him. He's still going to be available to pick up. If he keeps showing stuff, you might need to jump on it so you have him on your bench. So if something happens and you need someone to throw in who is high upside weeks 15, 16, 17, Marshall could be your man. Isaiah Spiller, I mean, there's not much to say. He is at least getting the work, but it's not a lot of work still. So still the handcuff to own. Not much else to say other than that when it comes to handcuffs. Okay. Those were the bye weeks. These are the bye weeks in week 11. Jags, Dolphins, Seahawks, Buccaneers. Lots of wide receivers, as was noted. So I kind of had focused on some week 11 wide receiver streamers. First of all, Taylor Heineke, again, he kept showing up in this. Actually, I forgot I had him in week 11. I thought I had him in week 10. Maybe I did. Kenny Pickett is the other one. Against Cincinnati, we just talked about how that could go bad for the Steelers playing the Colts. But Cincinnati is an offense that's pushing it. And again, we talked about this last week. Just because you're playing a DST against a team doesn't mean you don't think the players on the other team can score fantasy points. No. Like, Kenny Pickett can have a good day, and he can also throw 2 interceptions, and Cincinnati's defense look good and score good points. These can all both happen. Jerick McKinnon, still like him week 11 here against the Chargers. So he was a little dinged up last week, I think, but he also got 5 or 6 targets or something, even though he didn't play a ton. Pacheco was getting the majority of the carries. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is just gone. I'm pretty sure the Chiefs tried claiming Eno Benjamin off waivers. Houston beat them to it, but they had a higher priority. But I'm pretty sure they were going to pick up Eno Benjamin and be like, hey, okay, finally we can just get rid of Clyde. I don't know if it would have come to that, but it was pretty interesting that they put a claim in at all. And then Chuba Hubbard, this is a fun one. I think this is going to be a good one here this week. If you really just need somebody, he's probably going to be there for you. So check that out. He's going to be out there. And if you need somebody, he's going to score some points, I think. So week 11, wide receivers, as noted, a lot of wide receivers on bye week 11. So try to find a range of guys here. Michael Gallup, Wan'Dale Robinson, Deshaun Jackson. Dug into Wan'Dale Robinson and the whole slots against the Lions. I'm pretty sure that continued with Cole Kmet. People are all excited about Cole Kmet. And you'll see him coming up here in the Week 10 recap as a tight end streamer for Week 10. Well, yeah. Okay, so play anybody who plays in the slot against the Lions, basically. And it's going to be Robinson in Week 11. So, and Sean Jackson is a complete just high upside play. Like I said, they need somebody. If Jackson can't step up, that makes me all the more high on the Isaiah Likely Week 12 stream. But if Sean Jackson can, maybe that points to them not having to use likely as much in week 12. We'll see. One of these is going to be right. Is that hedging? No, because one was a week later than the other one. So technicality, no. Bengals for your defense again. Steelers can have turnovers and all that, and also some of those players can score points. Hopefully, Deontay Johnson, because I need him to score points. All right, that was week 11. Maybe still need some of those. Going to do a quick recap of week 10 results. This was all right. Derrick Henry keeps been talking about Derrick Henry for a while. It's too late now, but you should have traded for him like 5 weeks ago. But here it is, Jeff Wilson, before he'd played a snap in Miami, talking about, hey, he's still going to be a thing in Miami, and sure, now we're looking at him being the starter. He might have taken Mostert's job, so very interesting there. After he was traded, I mean, he was on waivers for free in some places, so that's crazy. Drake London, we talked about how you could cash out and trade him in Dynasty for a veteran who's scoring more points, because in Dynasty he carries so much more value that's not attached to what he's actually producing right now. And so you can get someone like we talked about Godwin, talked about Kupp there, obviously the IR, that's just awful. But yeah, I mean, and Godwin had a good week 10 as well, but London did too. And I did mention how, hey, the Falcons have a great quarterback and receiver schedule for the rest of the season. So if you couldn't get rid of him, that was okay, because at least he had a shot at doing something. Very similar with Jonathan Taylor, saying that it was just a matter of if you can get him cheap, go for it. The selling Jonathan Taylor was only if you were needing to go for a championship and you could get someone like a Derrick Henry and so on. I think we've seen a few times now from Jonathan Taylor that he is a player we can trust when he's playing, that he's healthy and you can start him. He said something a few weeks back when he was out that he felt like he could have gone, but he didn't want to push himself. He didn't want to risk it. And to me, it showed a lot of maturity on his part, because at that point he hadn't like missed a game since high school or something, even a practice. So, I mean, he's been an Iron Man. So for him to also be aware and disciplined enough to not push himself when he was back, I think he was truly fully back, and that showed out with a big run, touchdown, everything. So, good old JT, right? It helped that Matt Ryan is back, I think, a lot. And Saturdays, I don't know, Jeff Saturday, new coach, hopefully it's wheels up for JT, and everyone who's been struggling with him up till now is now going to just be cruising. I really hope so. And we talked about Nyheim Hines and how he will never be worth more than he was the day before he ever played a snap for the Bills. Or rather, didn't play a snap. He played a snap, but not many. The quarterback streamers week 10. Sorry, guys. They didn't work out. Now, is Walker hurt? I meant to look this up. I saw something with him being out. So, yeah, but the points results, 5.7 points, not great. And Andy Dalton, I mentioned it, that if he can't do it against the Steelers defense, they need to play Jameis. And on the broadcast, the broadcasters were actively saying, like, why is Jameis not playing? Why, if Andy Dalton is doing this, it looks this bad against the Steelers, why is Jameis Winston not starting? And that's what I said too. So I thought that surely he must be able to do better, right? Nope, 8 points. So I don't know why. I'm not going to trust starting him now, even as a streamer. and hopefully Winston. I mean, you want to pick up a stash, go get Winston. All right, guys, this is a big one. Rashad White. We were talking about him before all the this blew up. That you should pick him up, and now he's actually getting the work. I wanted to start him as a streamer, just a shot of getting some of the receiving work and stuff. But now he's getting like real work. 12 and a half points in week 10. It's looking very interesting. Okay, could be a high upside down the run through the playoffs. Kind of. I don't want to say league winning or anything like that. No, don't think so. Not unless Fournette's out completely and this offense completely turns it around, which they could. The Bucks in this part of the season, November, December, that's when Brady turns it on. I could very much be open to buying pieces of the Buccaneers. So he just falls out of that whole category. Week 10 wide receivers, Jarvis Landry only had 6.7 points. So again, that was with Dalton being as bad as he was. So I guess it could have been worse. Donovan Peoples-Jones at Miami. First of all, this is an example of the whole Miami thing, right? But also, Donovan Peoples-Jones is, like we said there, I said Donovan Peoples-Jones, emergency stream, it's automatic, and he had a good matchup, and it showed out. And the result was 14.9 points, and it's not, he didn't even get the touchdown. He had opportunities for big plays. Yeah, the most valuable streamer of 2022, I believe, at least for wide receivers. So very good week for you, and he should just be on your roster. Just leave him on your bench, because we're just leaving him in your starting lineup for that matter, right? He's gonna get you points. He's gonna keep getting opportunities. Yeah, I don't know what it's gonna mean for him with Deshaun Watson coming back. I can't imagine it's gonna be worse. Okay, I love Jacoby Brissett. He's done a fantastic job, but I can't imagine it's going to be worse for Donovan Peoples-Jones with Deshaun Watson throwing him the ball downfield. Week 10, tight ends. Cade Otton, decent floor, 6.5. Didn't get a touchdown. Got some work. Yeah. Cole Kmet. So here's a guy, right? Here's a guy. Cole Kmet, who had a big week 9, 22 points, and followed it up with 23.4 points in week 10. Again, playing a lot of slot role against Detroit. Okay, case in point for Wan'Dale Robinson in week 11. And I should have looked up who's playing Detroit. I know who's playing Detroit in week 11. It is, of course, the Bills. I should have had McKenzie as the streamer. Isaiah McKenzie. Bonus streamer. Isaiah McKenzie. So we're gonna put. I'm gonna put it on the list. I'm gonna count it. I said it on the show, so it counts. Isaiah McKenzie. Isaiah. There's way too many Isaiahs actually. There it is. Got it. Isaiah McKenzie. Yeah, live on the show. Gotta love it, guys. All right. Isaiah McKenzie in the slot against Detroit. Yeah, he's going to have a good game week 12. But yeah, Cole Kmet's here. And this was before this show, week 10 show came out before week 9 was played. So before we saw his 22-point game. And then, of course, it's always like, oh, great. Now he already peaked. But no, then he had a great, even better week 10. By all means, sell high on Cole Kmet. Sell high on Fields, even. I mean, I have him in a redraft, and I'm just going to keep playing him until it fizzles out. But that's fine. Yeah, there you go. Cole Kmet probably helped win you leagues if you managed to actually make that happen. But we had better defensive. The week 9's picks were not very good, so bounced back strong in week 10 with 8 points for the Broncos. All right, but 13 for the Giants. So those are some nice results for you. All right, that's it for the recaps. That's it for week 12. Next week tonight, we just hit 30 minutes on the show. Thank you so much again. This is it. I mean, after Thanksgiving and we start getting into playoffs, I mean, what am I doing? What are we doing here? Come on, guys. What are we doing? Let me know. Hit me up on, Twitter announcement and show and everything. What you want to see coming up here, whether you want me to start digging into like Dynasty with kind of a next week kind of mindset. I did that a little bit with one show last year off season. I could kind of take that same concept and do a little bit of that. Definitely, as always, diving into analysis of different things and process and figuring out why my bad calls were bad, why my good calls were good. That's important too. All those things. But if there is something in particular you want to hear, let me know. I don't know if I'm going to try and get some guests I've had in the past that we had some really good shows in the off season. I'm going to try and get some of those guys back, especially when it comes to talking about injury and players for the next season and things like that. I really enjoyed the shows we had with Dr. Ed and Porras and so on. So that would be one I would love to have back on. If there's anybody else that you would like to have and see on the show, talking process, talking, I don't know, whatever it is, let me know. Connect us. Make it happen. All right. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your day and enjoy your football. And I hope all your teams win, except for the ones that aren't supposed to be because it's a rebuild. I hope they lose terribly. But the other ones, I hope they win big. All right, guys. See ya when I see ya. Probably not next week. Have a good night.